We are live. This is the Reseller Wake Up episode 124, and it is a Wednesday. What is going on, everybody? How was everybody's Memorial Day? Anything wild and crazy happening? Everybody have a good
It was
time?
awesomely chill for us.
Pretty much everybody took the day off from the show. I just assume you were doing something important.
My children were marching in a parade. I had to be there to watch them.
Family obligations, those excuses, geez.
I know, right?
Yeah, what kind of excuse is that?
I
That's
I had
how
to
love
go
we were
hang
it.
out with
feeling.
my family. My kids really needed me. I
My
didn't have time for
children
you.
needed me. Blah, blah, blah.
Family.
Oh,
Yeah,
this guy's going to piss me off. Be forewarned that if you see me on Facebook today, it'll probably be in a grumpy fashion. You've all had the warning.
I've been I
So
was
what's
on
different
Facebook this
about
morning.
today?
Yeah, aren't you always grumpy? Don't you just hate on everybody
No.
most of the time?
According to some people, I do.
Yeah.
I think people just take the
We
way I
consider
say
you
it.
the regulator. If you come into the conversation, we know some shit's getting spotted.
Yeah.
We know that's when the problems are ending, or just beginning. One or the other.
I hate it when people sit there and talk to each other like, we're all adults. Don't sit there and talk to people like they're 3 years old. You know what I mean? I hate that. Or call people names. Who calls people names on face? I mean, I know everybody does.
I do
Like,
it all the
but
time on Facebook.
why do you feel the need to, oh my God, you're such an idiot? Say the things,
I
I don't know. People
don't
make
know.
me
Nobody
angry.
calls me an idiot. At
I
least
mean,
not
it
to my
I
does
get called a
face.
me
bitch
to
a
do
lot
in
on
that
Facebook.
aspect. I try to help the community as much as I can. Anything I learn, I spread like verbal diarrhea, and it's just for me. I try to be as constructive as possible. Yeah, of course, I find myself every once in a while when someone says something like, "Is peanut butter considered meltable?" or these kind of things. Like, yeah, there's questions that are not meant for certain forums, but um, as much as I can, I always try to help at least, or at least steer someone in the right direction. Sometimes I'll be funny or constructive. I'll say, um, you can find the answer here. It's really easy if you just read this. Or I'll say things, or I'll be even more snarky. On certain days, I'll use "Let me Google that for you." I don't know if anybody's seen that. Where you go to "Let me Google that for you," you type in the Google query and send them the short link, and then they get a little short video of someone typing in Google the query, and then it queries the strings for them. So it just depends. There's room for some fun like that, I believe, but then
I
there's
like
also
the passive aggressive answer of, I just Googled your exact question and here's what I got.
exactly.
I'll
So
go that way sometimes.
yeah, I understand that, but there's room for certain things, and then there's some people that come in, you're like, God, you're so stupid, or use the R word and saying, and someone's asking a question, I'll be like, why do you
I
even ask
never
such a
even.
question like
I don't
that?
know if I just
We usually delete them
don't.
before you read them.
Okay.
I try to.
We don't like them in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm not an admin in any group except mine, so I don't have to deal with all that and pay attention to all that.
Yeah, but even in your group, certain things, can pop up, and I'm sure you see it, and if somebody you
Well, nobody.
nonchalantly just delete it, no?
Yeah, I mean,
No, not.
honestly, it doesn't really. There isn't a lot of conversation in my group. People go there to just find the show.
Yours is a safe. There's not.
A safe haven. Yours is like base and tag.
Yep. I
I
don't
post
know.
in Paul's group. That's about the only place I post.
Yeah. I
We
don't know. I
noticed.
guess I don't attract morons, maybe.
Anywhere else you
Look
post,
at the
it's just
panel,
a
dude.
rant.
Can you say that?
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't post. I stopped posting because I'm the guy that says, you freaking idiot, look on Google. And I don't like
You don't even post that. Sometimes you just tell me things like that. You're like, just go look this up on Google. Just go away.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know.
I just,
I ignore stupid questions. I don't even look at the thread, and you're not gonna bait me into. I mean, sometimes it's like they're just trolling. They want to get people just to hit mad or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and
Keyboard
they know
warriors, for
exactly
sure.
why they're asking what they're asking, and I don't know. It's
It's
really
different
easy to
than it
just.
was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you did your own research, and if you had a question, you
That's
asked
so
it.
not true. 5 years ago, I was on doing most of my stuff on message boards, and it was 10 times worse because everybody really did make like hope that somebody else would do all the work for
That's probably why I only have 3 friends because.
You don't like the lazy ones? Is that what it is, or are you just too passive aggressive to people?
them. Well, he hangs out with me, so I guess he doesn't mind lazy people that much,
Dude, you're
just as
like
long
his
as they're
little
not stupid
brother.
too.
It's not being lazy or anything because I'm lazy. I don't work that much. I mean, um, if you need an answer, look it up yourself. Don't make it so that I have to look in Google to give you an answer.
Well, a lot of people they feel like they hear about this new FBA business, and they're just going to walk into it and start making money without doing any research, without doing any of the groundwork, without doing any of the baby steps that are really what help you walk properly. And when I see that, that's when I try to help them into. I'll segue them into reading a document that I know that cites the information that they're looking for, because I am only in the grander scheme hoping that they're going to read the rest of the document and not ask 10 more stupid questions,
Yeah.
or I shouldn't call them stupid questions, but questions that can just simply be answered if they would have read a couple pages of documents. You
I
know?
guess that's another reason why I don't mind stupid questions, because I can just be like, yeah, we talk about it on this episode of my show. Go check it out.
Yep. You get another view. There you go.
Well, to be honest, I've been thinking about it, and the more I watch this Gary V dude, he does the Ask Gary V show.
Yeah.
He's
Hmm.
broken it down to where it's just one question, and he answers that one question in a 2 minute or 3 minute bite. I'm going to
Yeah, but
start posting videos in rooms. Here's my
that's
answer to your
because
question.
Gary's work schedule, he needs like 40 hours in the day and stuff. You go to his office and you just get accosted by like 7 assistants before you get to see Gary. It's nuts. That guy's got more workload than like 20 people. He's really the definition of endless hustle, that guy. So it's, I understand why he has to do it um, with those short blips, because he, has to answer the question, and I feel like he's got it, down to a science.
Yeah,
And
but I think it'll help build a YouTube channel when you think about it. If
yeah,
you see those questions and instead of just typing out your answer, you jump on YouTube and answer the question in the video and then post the video in that link. First of all, it's a
yeah,
permanent link back for that question. And
yeah. I couldn't agree more. I'm just
That's a good
there
idea.
are some people that are
I'm thinking about doing it.
that do that, and um, they digress a lot. Gary has a great knack for like question, answer, a
He
quick
just gets
line of
to
like
the point.
hustle, and then it's over.
Yeah, he gets right to the point, answers the question in the process, and there's no more question after he's done.
Yeah, yeah, it's
But
great.
anyway,
Yeah.
today we probably don't even have enough time to cover it now because we spent 10
Well,
talking a bunch of crap.
Sorry.
No, we've talked about them before, but virtual assistants I feel like are going to become more and more important, and just everybody's businesses, and it's going to be, I don't know if it's just one of those things where it's always been easy, which it probably, like within the last 5 or 10 years, it's probably been pretty easy to just hire somebody, but now everybody's getting online all over the world. It's getting easier and easier to connect, so it's getting easier and easier to find people who are willing to work for a lot less than what you'd have to pay somebody in the States for certain
yeah.
jobs. And when you're doing like talking about like data entry and just like research and stuff like that, then there's just a lot of opportunities to uh, get hire somebody that can do a job for a lot less money than you pay somebody to do it. It would save you a ton of time just by using these virtual assistants. Now I know, like I said last time, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I talked to Don about it, but Paul, we were getting into it a little bit on Monday, and we just didn't have enough time to really touch on it very much, but he's been doing a lot of work with virtual assistants as well. So asked him if he wanted to come on and talk about it today, and he said yes. So what do you got for us today, Paul?
Well, I like to say, first of all, thanks for having me, but second of all, it's funny because the first thing I want to say is go back to Monday. If you missed Monday, we did touch on some really good points. We only have an hour today, so I'm going to kind of cut through to the chase on a lot of the stuff. But go back to Monday. We did touch on a lot of good points and where we're heading in the virtual, assistant space. And I want to reiterate, just for the people who didn't see, I'm a programmer. I've been doing that for a long time, and some of the larger projects I've worked with over the years, we have, unfortunately had to outsource. There are a lot of smart teams in India, and a lot of the people are bringing the virtual assistant space to the Philippines. And I actually had some conversations with some of my old business partners over the last, month or two, a few weeks here and there, and really gotten some great data out of some of these programmers. And what I think that the difference is that I'm really touching on is that when you get a virtual assistant in a foreign country and you're training them to do data entry and mine for information out there, and to make it readable and usable for us as the reseller, the problem is that they do what you tell them. You have to, and John really touched on this in his virtual assistant talk. You have to have it down to a complete science. If you are fuzzy or gray in any area, they will deviate from the path that you lead them on. And what I've found with a lot of these virtual assistants, I have found that to be A, completely true, B, a huge waste of time, and most importantly, C, I found that if I up the game a little bit and I step up my sourcing efforts on these people, and I went back to the programmers that I've used for many years, these people can write PHP code. They can, they're familiar with all types of, Java and languages that most of us don't even need. That some of this stuff, the flat files, the variations, the mining of data, and all of these things, anything that's, I wouldn't say outside of their scope, but something that's too easy for them, they have rooms of people that can do these things, and then at the same time, they're able to take care of harder projects. So we're doing things as far as like writing scripts to scrape data. We're getting, I was telling the guys in the pre-chat, the green room, if you will, we were talking about top reviewers, product reviewers. I have, information on the top reviewers, how good their metrics are, how helpful their reviews have, been voted. I have information on, we can scrape entire stores and give from the UPCs the ASIN and then the rank, how many sellers. And it's just, at this point, it's a lot more information that what we did was we actually were able to make a business out of it. We made a room of virtual assistants that understand some key components of what we may need, which we can touch on in this show. And what we're doing now is we're outsourcing strictly FBA and reseller-centric virtual assistants. So you guys aren't going to have all of the startup time on training them, all of the, if you want to speak flat file to them, they're going to understand flat file. If you want to, shoot over 100 products to make into an inventory load file, they're going to make it into an inventory load file for you. And if you have a problem, if they see an issue with any of your data, they actually can come to you and say, hey, I wasn't able to complete this file because you're missing images for this, this, and this, or you're missing keywords for this, this, and this. We recommended some, or we were able to find some. These people are doing white backgrounds, getting images to Amazon specs, and it's just a lot simpler for them to, and their time constraints. 12-hour days for them. They pump out more work than 2 guys in my office here in a week. So I think that that's the future of virtual assistants right now, trying to, for every FBA person to try and train someone on Odesk or off of any of these, not to be mentioned companies. to train them and start from scratch for every single person, especially, something we were talking about earlier, most of these people are getting in the business really don't know what they're doing. That's why they're looking for a virtual assistant, maybe not to always offload too much work, but to help them along the way. Someone who, maybe for John or you, Paul, has done flat files, and Danica comes in and say, oh, I need that, for her to have to retrain someone is just hours and hours and possibly up to 40 hours of work just for her to spend on just training that person. So we're trying to offload all of that work and really make it where when people are able to subscribe to the service, they're able to just choose a level. Do they need Skype? Do they just need email communication? Do they want a US-based liaison? There's all different types of things that we're making it for different levels of resellers. I know someone like John is just going to I want to pump them data. I just want to pump them a ton of work, and I want my work, finished product back. Whereas somebody that's coming into this may just be like, I have no idea. I just need to know what the top products in XYZ categories are, and just like CyberMonkey Deals pumps out, 5 or 10 products, we can pump you out an entire list and then have you search amongst those products for things that you can source. So we're doing a lot of fun stuff. And
So you're doing a little bit of everything. You're looking for reviewers, like people. You're using them to find the best reviewers on Amazon, first of all. Then you're also using them just to get you these lists, like CyberMonkey, like all these little Facebook groups that.
We go a little further than that. We're actually finding the stores as well. So, like, for instance, I'll pump through Walmart's entire online catalog, and I'll have them give me a list of every UPC, cross-reference it with an ASIN. If there's 5 ASINs for that UPC or no ASINs for that UPC. There could be 5 different listings, 3-packs, 4-packs, 2-packs for that particular UPC, or that product, for instance. And it'll tell you, like, what the FBA, after, Amazon's RIP, what we actually get as far as a margin impact, what the, cost of the store is, what the potential profit is, these kind of things.
Or you're taking, you could even, like one of the things that I always notice when I'm out doing retail arbitrage, I'll be scanning stuff, and there will be like some random, maybe I'll find a crappy listing, it's just like, man, if this listing was better, then it would actually probably be selling, like an item.
Find more like that than you'd think.
Yeah, I found an item at Walmart one time. It was like $7.99, and it was selling on Amazon for $25. But there were like 5 different colors of this item on the shelf. There's only one color on Amazon. Picture was crap. No bullet points, just all that. And so, are you looking for stuff like that too? Just
Absolutely.
Looking for opportunities where you can improve the listing. These guys know how to do all that, though. You were saying they know how to do the white background. You're training them to do the copy themselves and all that too.
The copy is a little bit different. When it comes to actual, and John knows this, when it comes to strict guidelines of, okay, this has to have a white background, it has to be more than 1,000 pixels on the longest side, those kind of things, they can follow those kind of things. They can do Photoshop and all these different programs. But when it comes to copy, I usually have them keep it to whatever, say, Walmart's description was, or whatever these particular stores listed as their description. And then if I want to later on go and tweak it from there, I will. But I want something has good ranking, has good SEO, has been proven, and like John said, there's a difference between someone who is an American actual bred writer and someone who is English as a second language and just kind of understands. There are people that I am very good friends with, that I speak with on a day-to-day, that mess up the 3 yours and the theirs and all these things. So if they're messing them up, then I understand why someone in the Philippines or someone in India may also mess them up. So I don't get outside of I'm not in a pipe dream where I think that these people are going to offload every piece of work, but they're going to make a list. Like, for instance, I just got a list sent to me, and one of the best parts of it is the errors column. do you see any errors? Well, this one, for instance, something like you were saying, it says it has a variation, but we find all of them are separate listings, or there are no bullet points, or it's listed as the wrong title. The title doesn't meet Amazon's standards. They have particular standards. You're supposed to go from, the manufacturer to the product and like whittle down a certain way to like the size at the end or the color at the end of the title, and they end up, they can pull those things out and rejigger those kind of errors, but they're not, they're not going to be, taking a private label product and writing a, description on it or anything like that.
Right.
But
Well, you mentioned keywords too. That's something that they can do themselves, or is that more?
there's key product features, the 5 bullet points, and then there's keywords. They can do them. The problem is that usually I do them based off of the competition.
Okay. Well,
So
I mean, keywords are more based on like looking for words that people are searching for more than knowing how to describe the product, right? Like keywords and copy are totally different, and you can actually, when you're looking up keywords, it's not something that you have to like basically know how to describe the product. You're looking for like you're looking for relevant words that would make your product show up when people are searching for such and such, and those words you can actually look up those search terms and find out which ones are the heaviest hitters and all that stuff, right? And I mean that's like something
what John was touching on earlier is if you can get raw data from Amazon's search for, via ads or those kind of things, and I think that John was going through. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of keywords that you were using that you've like canceled the campaigns on, right?
Yeah, I've had to change some of my. I've had to go from automatic to manual on the keywords, and the keywords are some of them get real obscure, like my military flags. When somebody types in there looking for an American flag, my military flags are showing up because in my title it says they're American made. I had to go in and redo all those.
Right.
It's time consuming.
So let me ask you this: would you then trust your virtual assistant if you had the ASINs and the manual keywords and that kind of stuff? Would you trust them to do that kind of stuff, or is it something, I'm weird about still with my personal accounts at least. I know a couple people that we've done, and tested the waters with the virtual assistants for so far. They were like, "Here's my account information. Go ahead, list the files. Here's all my stuff." Blah blah blah. For me, I don't give them any access to my stuff. I have them export, a file that I can use and upload, but I don't give them, the keys to the castle, if you will. How do you feel about having them do campaigns and those kind of stuff? Those kind of things for you.
It depends on who it is. I have some. I have one in particular. She has the passwords to all my money.
Yeah.
She can.
It's funny.
On some days, she can access $25,000, which is a gazillion to her, and she doesn't touch a dollar.
If you really think about this, you're taking this person from somebody who's possibly living in a very destitute situation and making their life into. You're almost making them win a win for life ticket, right? Like a win for life lottery ticket where they win, a certain amount of money per week. That's to us like winning the lottery, and they know. This is the most important part. They know that they are. You can exchange them tomorrow for another one. They're expendable, if you will, and they don't break trust. They really don't break that circle of trust.
Yeah, they tend to be honest, and I mean, obviously, it probably depends on what country you're going to, but I mean, if you're utilizing the people from the right countries, then I mean, they've just got that work ethic and that moral like structure that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like in the U.S. I mean, they're people talk about all the bad apples and how bad people are and all that, but I mean, for the most part, people are honest, people are good, people do the right thing, you know. And I mean, there are other countries out there where you can pay somebody a lot less than paying somebody in the U.S. to do the same job, and they've got the same kind of moral, ethical, you know, structure where they're really you can trust them basically to do stuff. But yeah, I mean, it'd be a while before I got somebody to the point where I could just
I've
hand over everything, all my information, and let them do everything for me. But
I've
I
been working with the sub accounts a lot. Hey, Chad. I've been working with the sub accounts where you give them their own account, but it can only do certain things. And we've been
hmm
testing the waters with a few of the project managers with those. Um, but just for things like extracting data or things like uh, repricing. I'm trying to teach them how to like kind of get on the on certain items how to understand the repricing, and a lot of what I'm noticing is the training is really key. These people, if you hand them a piece of paper like John was explaining with like 5 steps or 10 steps, they seem to get that and they understand that. But what I've been using is ScreenFlow. I don't know if people are familiar with it, but ScreenFlow actually records what's going on your screen. You can annotate it just like you're editing a video in Movie Maker or Final Cut later on, and make annotations on it. And that I feel like has been easier for them because I have voiceover. I've been explaining things to them. I've been getting on Skype with them and saying, oh, if you reference minute 15 of this that during this step, blah blah blah, they're getting it a lot easier. But at the same time, they still need those documents to fall back on. So what I'm trying to do is make it where we have forms, things that people will fill out. Okay, this is what I need, and then submit it to the VA. Just makes it a lot easier. Makes the possibility to stray off the the wanted path a lot easier to avoid, and just try and get everything. Cross all our T's, dot all our I's, and make sure everything's where it needs to be.
hmm Well, it sounds like you're just putting SOPs in place for your company so that when you hire an employee, your employees know what to do. I mean, you got to do the exact
Well,
same thing when
we're
you're
training
hiring
them.
anybody.
We're
Yeah.
definitely training them, and the thing is, I don't do any hiring. I have a few project managers over there that I've worked with for a better part of 5-6 years, and then I have a U.S. based guy that's been my partner on this. He has worked with this team for better part of 10. So I know that the communication is there, but also the trust, the level of trust is there. And the other thing is, it was very easy to spool them up. Anything that I need to train them on, we're doing at night, and right before I go to bed. And then when I go to bed here, they start working on all of the data mining, all of the scraping. I've literally had them go through the 5 local supermarkets around me, and they've took every single product they sell, put it on a spreadsheet, and give me the ASIN. How many sellers are on it? How many, what the buy box price is, all this different stuff. And I can now I have a girl that is a school teacher, and she's getting off for the summer, and she has no job. She said to me, she's like, I'll go to the grocery store and shop for you. So now I'm just going through the list, taking the creme de la creme, giving her a grocery list, and she can go do. I can also have personal shoppers. It's just at this point, go to these 10 Home Depots and get these 2 products. Go to these 10, Walmarts and get these 5 products. Go to these 2 ShopRites and get, what I mean? And at the
hmm
end of the day, you're just sitting at the, your location, boxing everything up. And at that point, all that you're worried about is the systems that you have to, touch the products, putting them in the boxes for FBA, doing that kind of stuff. Things that, yeah, in time, you can hire some warehouse staff and whatnot, but you have all this extra time. Make sure your boxes that are going to FBA are perfect, Um,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm trying to steer it. We've got a lot of
No.
different things, that we're doing with them. But what were you gonna
Oh, nothing. Go ahead.
say? Okay. We got things, anything from your competitors, entire list of their products and what they're selling on Amazon. Your Amazon files for uploading inventory, variations, that kind of stuff. Your image requirements, and then go all the way down to, like we were talking about earlier, keywords, copy, strategic SEO, and that kind of stuff. Super URLs for private labeling, online arbitrage. We can even search. I touched on private labeling for like 2 seconds, but if you have a product, this particular product that, you're looking for blue widgets, you can send these guys out to talk to the Chinese. They're on the same time zone. They can find the stuff in China and never have, even talk to anybody on Alibaba. Here's the cheapest guy. I've done all the sourcing for you. These guys are 10 cents more. These guys are 50 cents more.
Now, how much does it cost to get, let's say, a list of 5 different stores in your area overnight, sent to you the next morning with this list of stuff that you need to go and pick up at each store?
We're trying to keep it, again, it's in the early stages right now, but for now we're trying to keep it where you'd sign up for monthly VA services so that we can kind of build up a larger staff in the beginning. But I estimate things like that, like to do 5 stores would take 1 VA more than over 1 night. But the thing is that we're trying to build it where it's by hours, and if you want to scale it to where you use all of your hours in 1 week, you can do that. So, oh, Chad. Oh.
True.
If you wanted to, you're very, very, amen, brother. Amen. Private chat. I won't tell the world what we should be talking about. You may stir up a conflict.
I don't know, Paul. One of the things I've noticed lately is that I ran into a close friend of mine finally divulged what he does, and I knew where he worked, and I knew he was a computer engineer and all that. When I opened up eBay and Amazon, you're hiring these people to do this data scraping. Both of those companies already give you so much that you can connect to with an IPA that you can just pull in and run a program across that you don't even need the data scrapers, and that's where a lot of this information is coming from.
Yeah, but the problem with that is those are all very that's fine and dandy. You can scrape the information. What we're doing is we're writing systems to scrape that information. Again, a lot of these guys are programmers, so they're not going to sit there and enter data when they can write something that'll scrape. What they're then doing is once that data is scraped, they have, say, for instance, I have a spreadsheet here that they sent me last night, early this morning. It's, URL, title, how many reviews it has, the weight, all of these different things for each product. It's ranking and in what categories and what's child and subcategories. But this is information that they can scrape off of Amazon. What your programs can't do is once you scrape all that information is then find the items in the real world by your location. You can find the items in my location. I can probably find them in your location, but you want to find what items you can find in your location so you can send personal shoppers out there. Because if you're able to find these replens that maybe there's only one other FBA seller or sometimes 0 FBA sellers on, sometimes not even an ASIN, and you can find what store in your locale is cheap, that saves you driving to all 5 of these stores, that saves you checking for the sales, all that you literally need to do is break it down to the old school. I need a grocery list, just like you're shopping for yourself, but with obviously more multiples. I need, 10 Cheerios packs, I need 100 Jergens, I need 50 Duracell to make my, 10 5-packs or my, 3-packs or whatnot. So that's why it's not just scraping information anymore. We're taking that information and we're interpreting it and making it usable for the reseller.
How are you getting each store's specific inventory though?
I mean, it's not the inventory. It's how much the items cost at the store. If the store
scraping
if they don't have it in stock, you can go to the ones around that store or something.
Okay, so you're not looking like, okay, these 5 Walmart or we found this
That's the
product at
store.
Walmart. This Walmart has 5 of them. This Walmart has
You
3
can't
of
do
them.
it with Walmart. You can't do it with like Ralph's or ShopRite or Peapod for Stop and Shop. You can't do it with those. They don't have
Yeah.
inventory. You can do it for Lowe's. You can do it for Home Depot. You can do it for some of these larger home improvement stores. Like, for
Hmm.
instance, I got some weed crap. I got it on clearance for like $1.50, and it was selling on Amazon for $16.90 or something. And by the time I got them in, unfortunately, we were talking about this earlier, but they were down to like $12.99. I think they're down to $10.99 now.
Hmm.
But the great part is that they're a discontinued item. They're from last season. So I gobbled them all up. I still have them sitting here, and all these low ballers have been selling out. Now the price is starting to climb back up, and I'm starting to send them back in. I sent a few in. I think I sent like 12 in. They sold out within the first day. I was like, okay, I can't just, if they're going to sell that quick, I might as well just wait, until,
Hmm.
because they're discontinued, not many people. But I had an actual list of 2 districts in my area. I have 2 overlapping districts for Home Depots in my area. But 15 stores in one, 12 in the other, and I had a list of the exact quantity, the store number, and I was able to not only, yes, I'm doing air quotes, but go to it myself, but send somebody, go get this. I sent them with one of the bottles to keep in their car so they knew it was the right one. Obviously, they probably took a picture of it. They went to the stores, and they came back, and there were only 3 missing from the chart that I gave them. They said, oh, they must have been, one here, one there, couldn't find her, it got broken or sold out. But I pretty much knew down to the T how many of those I was going to have. Now they're polybag and sticker and getting ready to shoot into Amazon.
Hmm.
So for me, it depends. I also, I think I told a couple of you guys, it might have been in a private hangout, but I have found a product that was on clearance for 89 cents. Picked up as many as I could. By the time I sent them in, they were gone. And then I found them like, a month or so later for 10 cents. Just doing a little work, I was able to find them not only in all of the stores by me, it was a Lowe's item, not only in all the Lowe's by me, but then was able to get on the horn with Lowe's and found 15 different stores who were able to ship them to me, and for $5.99 shipping each, which I had to split across the cost of them all, but it was still, I got them for like 32 cents each, 24 cents each, after the shipping, and that's all because of these lists.
It's all
And
just the VAs coming up with all the data for you, sending it to you, and telling you exactly where to.
you could see holes and little Swiss cheese here and there, and you could say, okay, I'm going to stick myself in that hole, and I'm going to be the one making the money in that hole. I don't want to be on the listings that have 42, sellers.
Hmm.
There are some of these lists I can literally tell you how many, FBA toolkit style, how many were sold today, how many were sold on average over the last 30 days per day. Some of the items that are on Amazon will blow your mind how many they sell a day. In the hundreds. In the hundreds. It's nuts. It's like, who's even buying these things? It's not like underwear where you go through them and you throw them in the garbage, like a couple months later when they get too many holes or whatever. They're items that you use once. They're weird, like a picture frames or this or that. It's like, how are you selling so many? I don't care. All I want to know is the raw data, which ones are selling. I
Hmm.
don't care what it is,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like when you come up with a private label product. I mean, some of the private labels that I've seen people throw around, it's like, wow, how many people are actually buying those things? But then, you talk to the guy that's selling it, it's like, yeah, I sell like 100 a day,
Yeah.
every day, for months, and it's been like that for 2 years. It's like, what? What do you, how, what? But,
My goal here is to find those little holes and find a trend in those holes. And most importantly, I was telling you guys this earlier, but the community doesn't need to stress over all these little things, training VAs over and over and doing all this stuff. We shouldn't be doing all of the work over and over. We should be able to, help each other, and I feel like there's a lot going on, and I don't want to kick off like a bad conversation, but so many people say, oh, I'm going to do coaching, and oh, this and that, and it's like, seems almost like everybody and their mother's got a course or got a this or got a that, but I don't see it as that. I see it as, this is a resource that anybody can come on and use, and from the get-go, hit the ground running, working. You don't have to sit there like, oh my God, am I training this guy as efficiently as the next guy is training him? You know. So that's where I want to get that to be like that disconnect to be useful in the community.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really been working on so hard is making it so that there's SOPs and there's this and there's that, but we're really trying to sit in the room, and figure out, okay, we have all this data. John's sitting there with 50 some odd pages of keywords and stuff. What can you really extrapolate here? What can we actually use?
Right. Now, what about it sounds like you're trying to build some kind of, almost like a VA company where you're going to be able to, hire out your VAs to other resellers so that they can, or maybe, I don't know, what are you planning on doing exactly with all this that you're talking about? I mean, are you going to be kind of
100% it.
People come to you and for a list? Are people going to come to you for?
Like I said earlier, the lists, like buying lists, will be a a side part of it. Like something that I just get from the foam on top that you kind of scrape off. It's
another fucking list. Oh shit! I thought it was me.
I love it.
Hi, Chad. How you doing, man? What's going on?
That's exactly the point. We don't really need our lists. We need usable data.
Yeah.
So I feel like the lists are more of something where it's just like, who cares,
Yeah.
Or if somebody really wants a list and it's there, like, okay, bug me for a list 100 times, yeah, I guess. But I'm not like making a website to sell lists or anything, not in any way. I'm looking for, people that need VAs that really are just like, where do I find one? How do I train a VA? How do I do this? We have literal tests that we're putting these people through. Tests. Yeah. Like, we're giving them tests we know the answers to and seeing how well they come out. Lists of products from Walmart, and we know which ones have ASINs, which ones have multi-packs, which ones have this, how much they cost, and we're having them look at the list from Walmart and create the same lists that we already have, but we're seeing how many errors they have, if the error is a language issue, if the error is a training issue, if, all of these different things. And eventually, yes, we're looking to have, a ton of VAs in one room with these project managers, and the project managers are going to be able to serve off a lot of the work. Some of them are going to be continuing on the programming front, where they're going to be doing a lot of the, data mining and whatnot. But then there's going to be a lot of offloading of, resellers' work to virtual assistants as well, because they're already going to be within the stratosphere and the mindset and saying, okay, I understand FBA, I know how to make these files. Now, if they're sitting idle in the room, they're hurting us. So that's why we're looking to outsource the VAs, because we don't want them sitting there idle. They tend to get, and John knows this, he tells me it all the time, you can't give them enough work. You can't. It's almost like they're like Oliver Twist, please sir, may I have some more? They'll give me more lashings, like whatever it is, but they just want more work. So if I can give it to them, I'm going to give it to them, and if I don't have it, I'd rather give your guys work to them than, have them sitting there idly in a room. Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, I found myself that I was spinning my wheels, trying to give them work. I ended up spinning my wheels. I kind of disagree with all this big data.
You're old school. That's why.
No, but I
blows your brain up when you look at 45 or 50 pages of data. You're still looking at the same 50 pages of data from a week ago. You're like, what do I do? You pulled all your hair out. I can see it.
No, I didn't.
There's some of us that feed off of data.
I still have a little left.
We really, that's because you put the pages down for a few days.
Us old school people feed off of data. We're feeding off of data every day.
Yeah. No.
But here's what I see happening. I see it's going to same thing as eBay. You hear all these complaints across the board about how bad eBay is. What? My sales are just fine on eBay. I'm selling just as much as I did last year.
Sold the same thing for the last 8 years. It's never going to change.
Freaking niche, and to make money in this business going forwards, you're going to have to specialize because there's not going to be as many holes. The holes are going to start getting closed up. You're going to start seeing people with the I sell pop rocks right now, and I dropped the price by $4. They wanted to have a price war. I said, "Come on, let's go." And I showed them. I went to the bottom.
You come into everybody else's and ruin it.
Well,
But
I think what you're saying,
you're going to see these small profit margins.
it's the making money on finding the loopholes or finding the thing before everybody else does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a type of reselling, but it's so what's the good word for it? It's so
Minuscule.
not minuscule, but what is it when things blow up all the time?
It's like the bandwagon thing.
It's so
Volatile.
you know, and it really is because, I mean, like I just made the post over there, and I'm not, Amazon's awesome, you know, and people are making awesome money in it. Ride the gravy train until, you know, it runs off a bridge. But it's eBay made an attempt to try to, you know, by gating all these categories. It was absolutely nothing to skirt that, you know, and people are doing it. They're, you know, sharing the receipts, you know, or hiring somebody, giving them a little bit of money, and they do it for you. I mean, man, I don't see it. It's like the dude that stands outside of Woolworths. Remember back in the day, you had Woolworths and Murphy's Company. There was this guy that would go inside Woolworths and Murphy's, and talk about retail arbitrage from the past. He would go in there and buy some stuff, stand outside Woolworths and Murphy's, and try to sell it to people passing by. I mean, that is retail arbitrage, I guess. To the
Trench coats,
beginning.
Same thing.
But what happens is Woolworths, they catch on and they start, you know, shooing this guy away because he's really just creating a middleman for, you know, their products. And that's why we're getting a lot of these cease and desist. A lot of people on eBay are getting these. I mean, it's on eBay. What makes, dude, Amazon is more legal based. It's more everything else. If a manufacturer says fart to Amazon, I mean, they're going to cut everybody off. I mean, it don't matter. And why companies don't do it, I don't know. But, I mean.
Well, the companies want their products to sell, and they don't care who's selling them or buying them.
Yeah.
I mean, there are companies, like if you try to sell the brand new Logitech, you know, there are companies that won't let you sell their stuff brand new. You can't sell Gillette. You can't sell Logitech. You can't, like, if you try and do a set of computer speakers.
This is going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing.
Absolutely, but Amazon's only going to let it grow so big because they're going to end up shooting themselves in the foot eventually, where there's not going to be any brands to sell on Amazon. They're only doing it for large.
The foot is when they create a roadblock for people, and they're able to skirt it like nothing. I mean, that's where
it's not that easy to skirt Amazon's rules and regulations, and eventually it catches up to you if it's something that they don't really want you skirting. I mean, paying somebody to get you ungated in a category, all you're doing is showing Amazon or telling Amazon, "Hey, I know how to do this," and then that brings they're watching you now. And when you screw up, then they gate you again, or they kick you off of the site, or whatever. I mean, you're just putting yourself under more scrutiny, and you're giving yourself the opportunity to sell the items, but they just don't want everybody in those gated categories for different reasons, you know.
And so those reasons is what I'm talking about. They did it for a reason, okay? And
because it's innocent until proven guilty is not their motto. It's not. It's more like you're guilty, and then you need to appeal, and you're lucky if we give you the appeals process in a timely fashion because we're just too busy dealing with people who, you know.
Their sandbox.
It's their sandbox. They make their own rules. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the gating. or the gated categories, or how easy or hard it is to get ungated in a specific category, or if they don't want you to sell a certain brand or any of that stuff. Because, you know, if I wanted to make a private label product and I establish a brand and I get my brand registered with Amazon and I do all that, then if somebody else tries to steal my item, then I have recourse with Amazon to be like, hey, what's up with this? And they'll back me up, you know? I mean, so you gotta look at both sides of that. But, I
Yeah,
mean,
but we haven't gotten in the fourth quarter yet, and you got people like Sam Cohen making huge moves on Star Wars merchandise before it's even come out. And what's going to happen is you're going to see these large manufacturers saying you can't sell it new, which is going to end the retail arbitrage.
I don't believe that.
Because you're going to have to sell that item. If you buy it from a retail store, you're going to have to sell it as used. You watch. Watch.
We'll see. We'll see.
You got Sam Cohen dumping millions of dollars in the Star Wars before the movie even comes out, and look what happened with Frozen last year. They locked it down.
Yeah, but then, I mean, even I know people that got ungated for Frozen. All you had to do is go through their ungating process. If you're serious, Amazon just wants you to show them that you're serious and that you're not just some like dude, some little high school kid or whatever sitting back and trying to do something on the side.
Make sure you're not a high school kid that can afford $50 to pay somebody else to do it for you. I mean, that's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem. All I'm saying is there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing, and it's going to get more strict. And that's just my opinion. I'm not an Amazon guru. I just sit back and kind of watch what's going on and learn and stuff like that. And I just see the gravy train.
You're forecasting.
Derailing soon.
You're
probably for a lot of people. It's not going to go away by any means.
No.
Amazon isn't. Amazon's here to stay.
But I think that they're going to lock down third-party resellers at some point because you're just.
Well, I think the retail arbitrage part of it's going to get hammered.
I think that what they're going to do is just say, okay, we have enough third-party sellers for right now. We'll open up the floodgates again when we suspend 5,000 of them. You know, like whatever. They have 25,000. 20, whatever it is. You know, like they decide there's a number. They're going to cap it at that number when they get 1,000 more, whatever it is, and then in 6 months they'll reopen the floodgates for a few thousand more.
I don't believe that's ever going to happen. I think that
that's the only way they're going to stop low-end people.
It costs Amazon nothing to bring on new sellers, and they make money every time they get a sale.
Right,
so
but
there's no way they're going to
flooded to the point where there's not. Think about this.
Dude, they're not going to limit the number of sellers. There's no way. They make too much
there's
money.
50 sellers on every item.
Yeah, they don't care.
They're making money regardless.
They're making money. It doesn't matter who sells the item. They're making money on for every sale. And then if
they're only making guaranteed money on the pick and pull fees, if you dump the prices, the variable cost goes down. And that's what their real gravy is. If you dump the prices on anything because there's 50 sellers and you're all racing to the bottom, and now you're selling a $25 retail item for a $20 loss just to sell it to cover your Amazon fees, all they're making is their fixed fees. They're not making and those are covering their costs, if that. The variable fees they're not making because everyone's dumping the price.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like they may not do that. For instance, I feel like there's too many people that don't know what they're doing popping on Amazon and then getting suspended so quickly that they're going to notice this. So the seller performance team is going to be like, why is this happening? Is there not enough of a vetting process? Is there not enough of the testing? I don't know what they need to do. Some sort of, if you will, a gating process. You just can't just sign up to sell as a professional seller.
I think you should have to pass a test.
What it is you can go from individual to professional just by giving them $40 a month, which really doesn't do much for them because they lose the $1 of listing fee for each item. So it's like if you sell more than 40 items, everyone's like, oh, just get a professional. Well, I think to get a professional, you need to have a certain amount of feedback maybe, or you have to pass a test, like Danica was saying, something. But it's just like,
I don't think they're going to do it. I think that it's always, I mean, it's too much money off of sellers. I mean, they make
eBay
money.
just, I mean, the same thing is with eBay. I mean, they were making money off these 18,000 sellers, and they just shit canned 18,000 people just to trim the fat, I guess. I don't know. But whether they
Well,
were.
some of them cost a lot. Think about this: if Chad, you sell maybe one thing a year on Amazon, and John sells 5 billion things a month, he's going to be spending more. Like if he's calling Amazon seller support constantly, and he's emailing them, and he's doing all this stuff, he's like constantly draining resources, but he's making a ton of dough for them. They're not going to say anything. But if you start calling and you're like, I don't know how to do this flat file. I don't know how to load this. I have a question. Is peanut butter meltable? All these different stupid questions that these people that really don't know what they're doing in reselling are getting into it because they see it as the next new way to make money. I feel like those people are tasking the Seller Central system. It used to be where I'd say to Seller Central, give me a call. If my phone would ring, I'd pick up the phone, and someone would be there. Now I got to wait 5-10 minutes sometimes. Because there's a ton of people asking.
Send them to the Reseller Society.
Oh boy. Yeah, so at least
Yeah, but Chad,
Hey, Adam.
think about it. 5 years ago, how about 10 years ago on eBay, Chad?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the Wild West. That's what you got going on right now on Amazon.
Yeah, they're getting it dialed in.
History will repeat itself, and I just hold on. Today is 5/27/2015 at 9:59 a.m. We need to come back and watch this show in a year.
1 year,
See
right?
how many
See
freaking
if John-
changes
Yeah,
and
definitely.
how many people are still selling on Amazon.
And
Yeah.
what it's going to be is going to be because of some of these outside services are hurting people, and Amazon's not as lenient as eBay. You get
No,
kicked
absolutely.
off, you're gone.
I don't know if you guys saw groceries by Amazon. Sean Mayo, he does like pretty much 99.999% groceries. Does a lot of like bundling and retail, wholesale stuff. But he does somewhere, between right around 60 a month. I don't remember what his numbers last month where they were even higher. This dude got suspended the other day. And it was for not, everyone's like, oh my God, he got suspended for not putting nutrition facts and this and that. And first thing he did was come on, it has nothing to do with nutrition facts. They gave me a list of ASINs that they were, upset about. And every single one of them happened to be something that I sold onesie-twosie and then got a defect, a customer defect. And apparently what the whole story is after he spoke to seller support has gotten reinstated, but apparently those defects follow you. I think he said something like every year they fall off, but your defect rates aren't just if you get like 30 defects on one product. It could be like you got a defect here in March of 14, you got a defect here, April, a defect there at 15, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they stack up. Apparently, if you have them, a lot of them unanswered, they'll automatically suspend you. And then when you do the appeal, it's a quick appeal process because they realize it's not a ton of defects on one item, but it's an automatic flip of a switch on the system. It wasn't somebody who went in and suspended his account. But this guy's, you guys are talking about, oh, I don't think they make so much money. This guy's selling thousands and thousands of dollars a day. And the automatic system, that is Amazon, just automatically shut him off one night.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. It's about that time again, everybody. We went over a lot, got a lot of good information on kind of like what you can train your VAs up to do, and I'm sure you're going to be, Paul's probably going to have something coming out pretty soon.
Did we talk about VAs and eBay? Where's our eBay love?
We talked about VAs and eBay the first time that we did VAs. We didn't really talk too much about Amazon the first time around, so we wanted to see, we kind of wanted to hit both sides.
As soon as you showed up, we stopped talking about eBay.
If anybody wants, we're in the beta phases right now. We're not doing lists or anything yet. But if anybody wants, I'll give away some free stuff for a couple of Paul's top viewers. They all can give me a list at the end of the week or something. I'll do like 3 to 5. And of course I'll take care of you. But
You know you got to show your face if you're going to be selling something.
Oh, I know, right?
I was before, you know, when we were.
It's ugly. You don't want to see his face.
I know. You know what it is, John? John gets so upset when he sees my face that his head explodes.
Yeah, he's just jealous.
I know he was gonna do that. We had to remove his mute privileges.
Right.
But anyway, I'll take care of some. You know, I know you guys like to run the giveaways and things. So you know, if you want to do, we'll do some coupon codes when we get that stuff all up and running. We're still building out the beta process, and we have it all locked down for right now. But there's some good stuff happening. So.
Right on. Yeah, just keep us updated. And for now, just go check out the Reseller Wake Up. Oh, what's up, Chad?
Tonight on the meet and greet, we're going to be talking about, you hear all this like shipping heavy or big items. Well, tonight we're going to talk about it. The elephant in the room, passing up an item because it's too damn big or heavy. So,
Yeah, I saw that post this morning.
yeah.
I commented on the post this morning. I saw it. But,
So did I.
No problem with me. I don't mind big and heavy stuff, but there are issues. But it should be interesting to hear about it and be watching the show tonight. But yeah, go check out the Reseller Society if you want to keep tabs on the meet and greet and Pickers Church and all the shows that they do over there. And plus, they just got a lot going on. Lots of members, lots of information being shared, lots of questions being answered. You can also check out the Reseller Wake Up, which is my group. Easiest way to find the show in the morning. I post it all over, but I pin the latest episode to the top of my group so that it's always right there for you. If you're on a mobile device, you might have to click the view pin post thing if you're on Facebook looking that way. But yeah, go join over there. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks, Chad, for coming on. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Paul. I really appreciate it, and happy I could help explain some more stuff. You know, you guys were.
Yeah, sounds like you've got a pretty good handle on everything, and looking forward to some of those lists.
Yeah, I'll send you some sample data. Let you know if you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just interested to see kind of what you're talking about, you know, and like how easy it is to go over and utilize. But anyway, we'll be back on Friday talking about whatever we feel like talking about. But tomorrow night's the Collector's Catacomb. Friday night's the Toadcast. And anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Bitcoin and.